interactive talk show and sports talk radio. We are RNR 920 AM, KRL, Las Vegas. It's the JT the Brick Show.
We're going to have a lot of positive energy. The guys that love to compete and play with passion are going to have a chance at the place.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
Man, I'm loving it, man. They're making my job tremendously easy to be out here with these young, talented players, man. I think we have a really good team. I'm super excited. I'm already loving this fan base. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT, we're ready to roll today. You better believe it. Raider Nation doesn't have a coach, and we have the number one pick overall in the NFL draft. You better believe we're ready to go every day. You should be too. You should jump into our live video stream, our audio stream on YouTube. At JT the Brick, we're live on the LV Sports Network. For you podcasters out there, and for those who are listening live, the Raiders mobile app is unbelievable. And 9:20 a.m. in Vegas is a good way to listen to us too, I guess, if you're in Vegas. But our show is a lot bigger than Vegas, believe me. With all due respect to Vegas, I wouldn't be doing this if this was just Vegas. We need everybody from New Jersey to Florida to London with Crusader Raider to the town, Oakland, and everybody in Los Angeles. We do this show for everybody, so we'd like you to pass it along, and you can do that on many of our platforms as we open it up. Brought to you by PTs. Man, I'll be out of PTs coming up here. Almost went last night when Mark Stone scored the goal in overtime. Check this out as VGK, great partnership with Golden Entertainment. We're in LA, and this is how they took out the Kings.
Right circle, Eichel shoots, stop, and a wraparound, Stone scores! Vegas wins in overtime. Eichel earns redemption. Goes in behind the goal, tripped up in the trapezoid. He centers for Stone. Kemper faked out. Stone wins it for Vegas 3-2.
Dan Duva on the call. I should have reached out to Dan today and got him on here. That was an incredible goal because Eichel was tripped, coming around the back of the net, fell and passed that puck to Stone, who was wide open, and Stone scores. That game was nationally televised on TNT. I watched every minute of it, from like the beginning of the second period into overtime. And once again, Clay, Vegas with the 2-1 lead with a minute to go gives up a goal. I think they played 24 overtime games. I got to get the number. It's nuts. Like the whole season, they just lose leads, go to overtime, either lose and get a point or win another really big heart attack type game, but Vegas gets a win.
Yeah, if they add up all the minutes in overtime by the end of the year,
Yes.
they would have played another 20 games.
You're right about that, man. They're playing a lot of minutes because they're going to overtime as we get going. So we do talk hockey. We talk all sports. I watch all sports. I know European soccer. I know NASCAR. I know baseball, all those other sports. But predominantly this time of year, we stay in our lane with football. We have the divisional playoffs in the NFL, which playoffs have been fantastic, haven't they, everybody? I mean, the Raiders aren't in the playoffs, but for everybody else who's in, it's been fantastic. Unbelievable, the playoffs. That Chicago Bears comeback, the Stafford late touchdown throw at Carolina. The Niners, we're not big Niner fans, but we got Niner fans that are here in the chat and are here. The Niners with an epic win at Philadelphia. And all the games that we're seeing, Buffalo, let's go Buffalo. I'm all in on the Bills. All in on the Bills. The only team I got left in this thing is Buffalo because I got a lot of Bills fans and buddies from college, and I'd like to see Buffalo win. And Raider fans, you'd like to see Buffalo win too. It wouldn't hurt you. Mr. Davis and Ralph Wilson, they were great friends. They did a lot for each other back in the AFL. I'm talking the birth of the AFL. The AFL as the Raiders were playing in Buffalo and then all the way through the NFL. So I think everybody should, at least if you're a Raider fan, hope that Buffalo can do that. That would mean they would knock out Denver. And we want Denver out of the playoffs because Sean Payton is not a fan of the Raiders. Sean Payton does not like the Raiders. He's never been interested in the Raiders. He's not a Raider guy. Respects Mr. Davis. I mean, reportedly back in the day, the Raiders were interested in Sean Payton, but he wasn't very interested in them. And that's okay. You know, this is a guy who likes to go to Kenny Chesney concerts and drink beer and rum with his buddies. and he's not Raider friendly. So we'd like them out. We'd like them out. The Chargers are out. The Chargers scored 3 points in the playoffs. 3. The Raiders scored 0. Yeah. The Raiders didn't make the playoffs, so they didn't compete, and the Chargers made the playoffs and scored 3 points. That was a worst case scenario for the LA Chargers, a rival of the Raiders. They're out. Now we just need to get Denver out. I think people would be okay. I don't think, and I know a lot of Raider Nation doesn't like the Niners. Thor and a lot of my buddies, they want the Niners to lose. I don't think the Niners are going to win at Seattle. If the Niners end up winning this game, then it's nuts. It's on. Because how could the Niners possibly beat the reigning Super Bowl champs with George Kittle blowing out his Achilles and no Nick Bosa, even though the practice window's open for Fred Warner? You know he's not completely healthy. If the Niners can go into Seattle and beat the Hawks, then this is just crazy, and they might win the Super Bowl. So Raider Nation does not support the Niner Empire, and it would be nice if we saw Denver and the Niners get knocked out. I'm not crazy aggro against the Niners. I'm not. I'm sorry. I know Joe Montana over the years. Ronnie Lott, friend of the show. We know some cool people that have been with the Niners over the years. I don't hate the Niners. I wasn't born in Oakland. I understand the rivalry in the Bay Area there. So whatever you want to talk about, let's get some national callers in on the playoffs, especially from a gambling perspective. If you're betting any of these games, let us know what side you're on. Because, you know, we're seeing now in sports radio, you get a lot of people come on the radio and they tell you they bet on every game. It's a big scam. I'm on this side. I'm on that side. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're working on the radio. If you were that sharp, you wouldn't be on the radio. You'd be sitting in a sports book with a brick of $100 bills, and you wouldn't need a sports talk shift on Saturday. Okay? So don't tell me what side you're on in every game. And is it $5 or is it like $2? What are you betting? No one seems to tell you that either. So these games, we need some help. And if you're betting on any of these games, if you love a side, let our audience know, man. Put it in our chat on YouTube at JT the Brick. Let us know. So people want to make some money. David P. just said, Bills money line. I like that. I picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl. Whatever the odds are for the Bills, take the Bills the rest of the way. Favorite or underdog. Let's see Buffalo get it done. All right, a couple of things we need to address. Man, we've been excited the last couple of weeks because we've come in every day and there's been breaking NFL news. Really breaking NFL news. And the latest news, which is huge, is John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh ends up going to the New York Giants as they're dotting the I's and crossing the T's on this deal. And, you know, great hire for the New York Giants because they're not messing around. When you hire John Harbaugh, you're not messing around. Okay, you're bringing a guy into the building who has complete power. So Joe Shane, who's the GM of the team, has no power, none, zero. He's lucky he didn't get walked out. He's lucky that John Mara didn't say, Joe, come to my office. We're walking you out. You're fired because John Harbaugh is pulling up and he don't need you. He don't need you. He's in charge. And that couldn't happen here in Vegas. Tom Brady and John Spytek are in charge. They are, from all accounts, you know that. So this wasn't a great fit for John Harbaugh. It'd be nice if John Harbaugh said, I'm dying to be with the Raiders. I love Southern Highlands and Shadow Creek. I don't want state taxes. I'd love to be there. I think they could have made room for him. I'm not sensing that deal got off the ground. I'm not sensing that deal was in play. But what I am telling you is something I've been driving home aggressively on all my platforms. 1 down, Harbaugh's down, 8 to go. 8 to go. We don't want the Raiders picking 7th out of 8th here. We don't want to pick in 6th out of 8th. Okay, so there is a sense of gambling in Sin City, Las Vegas, and the Raiders are now gambling with what they want to do for the head coach. I'm okay with it because I understand who's in charge. Mark Davis is letting Tom Brady and John Spytek have full control of this hire. They got to run it by Mark when they're done with it, but I'm sure Mark's going to say, if that's your guy, that's your guy. But we can't lose the guy, and we don't know who the guy is. So what you're finding out now, we have wasted talent at the bottom of the hour. Wasted talent joins us at 12:30. Levi Edwards at 1:30, and we'll do entertainment at 1 o'clock with Johnny Katz because there's a lot of concerts being announced. I want to talk about the death of Bob Weir, the Sphere, all that. So we got a good hodgepodge of this show today. But back to the Raiders and the rest of the NFL. If you got a guy that you think's going to be your guy, the Raiders were in a very good position last year. Many people thought that the choices would be Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, and then Pete Carroll surfaced, And Pete Carroll was a very good, vetted, higher, safe play. It didn't work. It didn't work. Calm down. Calm down. It didn't work. But it was a very good, responsible hire to get Pete Carroll. I hosted that day and the day after and the day after and the day after, and everybody was pretty good with Pete Carroll. And then after 4 or 5 games, you were done with Pete. You were done. You were done with Coach Carroll. You were done. Done. You wouldn't watch the interviews. You wouldn't listen to him. He's trying to tell you what they're trying to do. You were out. Well, there's going to be a new guy in here who's going to try to preach the same thing to you. We're going to compete. We're going to try to win. I'm not saying we're not going to win 10 games or 12 games, but we're going to compete. And you're going to have to welcome that coach. I don't know who that coach is going to be. I've been leaning towards Clint Kubiak because I like the metrics. I'm a stat guy. I like the numbers. I like the Wikipedia page. I like the coaching tree. But some people saying that he doesn't command a room the way a head coach does. I don't care about that. We've talked about it. I don't care. As long as he can call offensive plays and he's got good coaches around him and he's calling the plays. I don't need an offensive head coach here who's not calling the plays. You know, Mike McCarthy's still available, correct? Mike McCarthy's still available. He's an offensive play caller, but he's been around so long that at times he's relinquished the plays. And you see that. You see a guy like Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan. I want them calling the plays every play. But sometimes they have an offensive assistant who they give a taste to of calling the plays. Whoever is the play caller here for the Raiders, if he's head coach, just focus on Mendoza, Bowers, Michael Mayer, and Genti. You're not an offensive line coach, most likely. I don't think we're bringing Tom Cable back. I don't think we're hiring an offensive line head coach. The new offensive line coach is going to be worlds better than the offensive line coach that was here. Raiders have had some pretty good coaches. Remember, the greatest offensive lineman ever to coach, no debate, is Art Shell. Art Shell is the greatest all-time offensive lineman to head coach. There's been some other good ones. There has been some. No one compares to Art Shell. Art Shell had his moments. His worst moment was his worst season where he was relieved of his services. So if it is Kubiak, if it is Wells, if it's one of these guys who are smaller down on the list and they're going to be the head coach and they're going to call the plays from Mendoza, I'm good with that. They don't have to be a loud, talking, brash guy. Okay, we've had a few of those. I've liked them. John Gruden and Antonio Pierce. Tremendous to interview. Josh Daniels didn't have much of a, he was more of a cerebral guy when I sat in front of him. We want to do this. We want to try to do this. And he's doing brilliant. He's not doing well. He's doing brilliant in New England. But he's not a head coach. And 4 years ago, I interviewed Rich Bisaccia, as I told you. He had notes in front of him. He was a special teams coach. But he knew how to motivate men. And Antonio Pierce was a linebacker coach who became the interim head coach and was a rah-rah guy, which I like. I like guys who are coaches who are also master motivators. Just like in baseball, I want my manager to take a bat, and break a water cooler. I like that. I grew up with a guy named Billy Martin. Google him if you don't know who I'm talking about. I like people that break stuff. I like people that punch lockers. I'm good with that. But Tom Landry didn't do that. But Jimmy Johnson was a guy who'd get in your face and cut you. If you napped in a meeting, he'd just cut your ass if you weren't a star. So I don't know what we're going to get here. No idea, really, and no one else does. But I'm not in the clickbait business. I'm in building this YouTube channel, building ratings, and building advertisers. I've been doing this 30 years. I don't got to put out a video every day in front of Allegiant Stadium singing a song about a coach's nickname. I don't need to do that. Not that there's anything wrong with good, fun content. I just want to see them get the right guy. So we don't have Harbaugh. I'm not panicking. But last year, Clay, if you remember, when we and everybody else didn't get Ben Johnson, I came on and said, oh, boy, that's the guy. That's the guy. That's kind of the guy over there, Ben Johnson. That's the guy we need. He's a young play caller. We didn't get him. And look what's going on with Ben Johnson.
Yeah, he's an offensive genius, and he's turned everything around. But he's also a guy that's become a leader. Mm-hmm. I don't think we understood what a leader he would be on the field, but he's put it all together. He checks all the boxes right now.
I would think Clint Kubiak's the same exact guy, other than he doesn't take his shirt off in the locker room. Would you agree?
Well, that's true, but sometimes we don't know too much about Clint. But at the same time, do we often kind of think like, all right, because Clint is Gary's son, and Kyle was Mike's son, meaning Kyle Shanahan, does the acorn fall from the tree? Are we just masking the fact that there was a father-son dynamic there that we want to replicate because we see it working so well in San Francisco?
I mean, if Clint Kubiak grew up with his dad and he was hanging around, running around the locker room with John Elway and was overhearing conversations and also overheard conversations from Mike Shanahan with Kyle Shanahan, that's pretty cool. I don't think that hurts anybody. But the problem with Raider Nation now is this is a really big compliment to Raider fans, who I always compliment. Those who say, well, you slid into my DM. No, you did me. You did me. And I told you I'm not a coward and I'm not going to back down. That's what I do because you don't show up. So I do that. So the guys who know me and talk with me all the time and know me for a real guy know that I'm paying a compliment usually always to Raider fans. And the compliment is Raider Nation now does not care about anything other than winning. We're done with analyzing the coaches. Would you all agree? I think everybody in Raider Nation is now not going to get worked up by the coach. If he's not a famous coach, I don't think you're going to see Raider Nation throwing bottles and going nuts and going, oh, my God, I can't believe this guy, and bringing stupid signs to the game after the third loss saying fire the guy. I think Raider fans have been through so much recently with coaches and their personalities and not winning that I don't know many Raider fans who are texting me or calling the show going, oh, my God, if we get this guy, I'm going to lose my mind. I think Raider fans are burnt out on trying to figure out who the perfect coach is going to be because the perfect coach doesn't exist. I mean, we had John Gruden and Pete Carroll. I mean, John Gruden wasn't perfect, but we all kind of loved Coach. And Pete Carroll, I thought he was almost perfect. I mean, really good hire. And we had one of the worst seasons in Raider Nation history, if not the worst. It's on the Mount Rushmore of the worst seasons in Raider history. Everybody associated, including me, I did broadcasts, I did everything. We think we did a good job, but we're all part of it. Everybody who was involved last year in regards to putting the football product out on the field did not do a good job. I don't think everybody deserves to get fired. I didn't think the GM deserved to get the heat. Now he gets an opportunity to pick his own guy. I'm all for that. All for that. And got the number one pick. But it's very important. So John Harbaugh is not in play. We're down to 8 jobs. I think after this weekend, it's going to be nuts. So I think by Sunday night, so the Niners and Seahawks are going to play. If Kubiak loses, and I don't think Seattle's going to lose. I don't. But Kubiak can go on interviews. He can do Zooms. He can meet over the phone. He can do a lot of things. I believe that whoever loses, the Niners have a really good coaching tree. Robert Saleh might get hired in this next cycle as a head coach. He might. Like Robert Saleh could be the head coach at Tennessee on Monday. They could be waiting for the Niners to get beat to go Robert Saleh and some offensive coordinator. I don't know. But it's going to go fast. And we're not getting Tomlin because he's going to TV. But there's a sliver of a chance someone can talk to Tomlin, but you'd have to trade for him. I don't think the Raiders want to trade for a coach. But someone told me yesterday, pretty high up, that if Tomlin walked into any NFL facility just like Harbaugh, you know who's in charge. You can think who's in charge upstairs. You can think all you want. No, in the building, Harbaugh's in charge and Tomlin's in charge. The culture's set. Everybody's on board. Now, everybody was on board for Pete. Pete had a great culture. He did. I mean, he was tackling and he was pinning guys and doing fake wrestling and shooting baskets. There was no one there. You know, they had to get rid of a couple of guys. A couple of guys weren't all in on the record or their playing time, or they didn't like the competition thing. I don't think certain players who weren't playing loved competition if they weren't getting on the field. So I'm not saying it was perfect, but Pete Carroll knew how to keep a locker room together and prepare a football team to play. He told me in his last interview, they've been here to play every week. They're ready to go every week. They show up on time. They're on time for meetings. They're out there and they're doing everything they can. So a guy like Clint Kubiak or Robert Saleh or all the other coaches that are available and out there, as I look at the list that's growing, they all have potential staff ready. So you're all aware of this, right? They all have guys on their text message and they're all texting each other behind the head coach's back, with their agent saying, if I take this gig, are you good? So another interesting thing last night I found out, because we were talking about all the coaches who are being fired. all the coaches who are not being retained, most of them are under contract with other teams. Like the Raiders, as John Spytek said, has these coaches under contract. But the second the new coach gets hired, a lot of these coaches will be fired and they'll be let go. So you don't think there are coaches in the Raiders building right now on text messages in New Orleans, in Detroit, in Tampa, going, hey, man, I'm available. I'm available to be special teams or running backs. Everybody's looking for a job around the league because there's 8 openings. And John Harbaugh's taken a bunch of coaches from Baltimore with him, just like Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin has taken a bunch of those Ole Miss players and coaches with him to LSU. They just had to finish out playing a couple more games. Cignetti's interesting to me because I never would have took Curt Cignetti seriously as a head coach until I watched the 60 Minutes interview, the detailed 60 Minutes interview. And I'm like, this guy's on a platform for life that's different than most people's. Like, he can do anything great. Like, if Cignetti wants to walk out of Indiana and all those D1 commitments and all the people that they're now lining up to go to the Raiders, that would be hard to believe, but he could. Yeah, you could probably offer him a deal. And Cignetti is now at least considerable, not only from the Raiders, but for everybody. Can you imagine bringing in Curt Cignetti to be the head coach of the Ravens? You don't think Steve Bisciotti would pay him to do that in a minute? So there's a lot of openings here. My point is, and as I open up the phones at 702-365-9200, we got one more show tomorrow on Friday. And then it's going to be Monday. Okay, going to be Monday, 2 weeks away from us going up to San Francisco for the Super Bowl. Raiders got to get it up and get going with this hire. They don't have to rush. They're not in a panic. They might have their guy. They might have their guy ready. They might have the guy ready. But the door's open from everybody. Everyone is under consideration, most likely. We're not hearing much on Gruden because he's coached the team twice. You get that. We're not hearing much on Cignetti because he's coaching in the championship game for obvious reasons. He's probably not leaving Indiana. We're not hearing anything on Mike Tomlin, right? We're not hearing anything on Mike Tomlin because he's probably going to TV. But why are we hearing more on Mike McCarthy, who's a quarterback whisperer? Coach Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers and Dak Prescott. You don't think he'd be good coaching Mendoza? But Raider Nation's calling him a retread. A retread. How would you like to be Mike McCarthy walking into a bar and says, Coach, can I get a selfie? And I want to call you a retread. Call him a retread. He's won a Super Bowl. He's available. I'd love to have him as a coordinator, actually, not as a head coach. But if he becomes a head coach somewhere else, I think he'll do a decent job. And then you look at these other coaches who are all young coordinators. If you're going to take a young coordinator, which I am leaning towards, that brings along a lot of risk. Just brings along a lot of risk because the guy never coached. Never been a coach. So you like him, and I like him, and you love his play calling, and you love his tree, but he never did it before. Like if we were sitting here today and we were back in the hot tub time machine and we were hiring Sean McVay, everybody would be like, who's he talking about? What? Oh, no way. Who's Sean McVay? How dare you? How would that have worked out? Right? So you got to be open to that. And I'm open to that because Tom Brady and John Spytek have a vast net out there trying to talk to as many people as possible and to try to do that. So as someone asked here on the chat, would Max be fine with a rookie head coach? I can ask. I have a cigar with Max every once in a while. I could ask, but my private conversations with Max are not going to go here. And Max says, yeah, tell everybody I want a rookie head coach. Max has proven he could work with anybody. But it's a fair question. Would Max want to go catch a ring somewhere with someone who, like John Harbaugh, and go win with him and feel like he's got a better odds to win? For those who are asking, as well as I know Max, as well as I know him, and I'm lucky to know him with his foundation and his wife and some off-the-air stuff, Max has Raiders tattooed on him. He doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to leave. I think Max wants to make this work, and he keeps trying and trying and trying, and that's why it's so important to get this right quickly. because there's a bunch of teams last year that only won 4 games and are still in the playoffs, which is rock star stuff. I mean, it's incredible that the Bears, you're looking at the Bears and the Patriots in the playoffs. Are you kidding me? And the Raiders this year had 3 wins. You know, I could round it up. I can't, but I could round it up to 6. I mean, should have beat Jacksonville, should have beat the Bears, right? Played Denver to 10-7. Raiders were better than their record. They were better than their record, but you are what your record is. So can the Raiders go from 4 wins to the playoffs? It'd be hard to see that. It would be hard. But why is it so hard if 4 other teams did that in 1 year? It shouldn't be impossible is what I'm saying. It shouldn't be impossible. So today, because we have great guests, Wasted Talent, Levi Edwards, and Johnny Katz. If you'd like to call in on this big topic. It's really important because I got to hear from you. I don't know what you're thinking. And you can put it in our chat here. Rookie head coach or veteran head coach? And don't just trash the veteran head coach. Think about it. Kevin Stefanski could be the head coach of the Raiders. There's probably better than a 20 to 25% chance that he could be the head coach of the Raiders. I wouldn't say 50. I wouldn't say 70, 90, none of that. You know, I'm saying Mendoza's a lock, right? I think he's 100%, not 99, 100. But I don't know who the head coach is going to be, but it could be Kevin Stefanski, who has a losing record and was just, I'm going to say it, don't tell anybody I said he was just fired. He was just fired. And he might be a head coach again. Oh, another guy with a losing record, Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh has a losing record as a head coach. He might get hired again. So as I take a look at the updated list, Harbaugh's gone. These are the veteran head coaches, Harbaugh, Tomlin, Gruden, McCarthy. David Shaw, who I like a lot. David Shaw's been around this organization for a long time. David Shaw. Flores, Stefanski. I have to include the name. I have the list here. Garrett, who's now on NBC. And he's doing commentary. Saleh, Nagy, Schwartz. A lot of coaches out there. And, yeah, McDaniels is on this list, but don't worry, everybody's on everyone else's list, not the Raider list. And the majority of them all have a losing record. The only ones with a winning record, are Harbaugh, Tomlin, Gruden, and McCarthy. That's it. And with the Giants out, your openings are now the Titans, the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Browns, the Dolphins, the Falcons, the Ravens, and the Steelers. Wow. Hey, man, we're not looking to hire a hostess at the front of the restaurant. And they do a great job. The hostesses are really important. We're not hiring a hostess. We're hiring a chef. Okay, we're hiring the chef in the back room who's cooking all this stuff. We're not hiring the hostess and the servers. We're hiring the chef who's got a world-recognized name going on the front of the restaurant. And as I just showed you and I'm showing the chat, there aren't many. There aren't many. Raider fans, you need to step up your game, man. I'm stepping it up. You need to step up your game and tell me what you think. That's the monologue. Brought to you by the DeCastro Verde Law Group. If you get into an accident, and the cones are everywhere again. I was driving the other day on Fort Apache, and on the right, there was like 30 cones. And then I get to the end of the cones, and they were doing nothing. And there was an accident because someone tried to get around the cones. If you get into an accident or injured, the DeCastro Verde Law Group, 702-222-9999. Let's get out. Wasted Talent will join us on the other side. The great podcaster, the great content provider. We added them this year, and you want more of them. So we're giving you more of them. We want to put him on because he's got his own audience that is super sharp that we want to bring to our audience. Wasted Talent up next. If you want to get through, 702-365-9200. This is Raider Nation Radio. Another 29 minutes, man. Another 29 minutes. Look at that, man. 29 minutes of monologue, man. With one soundbite or no sound bites. Come on, man.
Come back thank you. Hey, Joe, the other coach here, winning 8 minutes after the guest. Continue.
I mean, at our firm, we've won over 200.
Yeah, this is the firm that my son works for. My son works for this agency. I told you My son does NIL and work and all that. And isn't that a cool logo? I-15. It's a sports agency. They represent a bunch of Hall of Famers. They represent Heisman Trophy winners, a lot of different artists, musical artists. A great logo. I-15, man.
Wallerscomp.com.
Elevate your lifestyle. Hi, this is Brennan, General Manager at Land Rover Las Vegas. 3.9% and Range Rover are two words hardly ever used together. But it
And my other son, my young buck, he's in the chat right now.
less travel.
He's setting us up.
Offers the seamless blend of luxury, on-road performance, and off-road capability. Take advantage today of rates as low as 3.9% for well-qualified buyers. Visit us online at LandRoverLasVegas.com.
Open a Clark
Wasted.
in high-yield bonus checking account and earn.
Well, I appreciate, Rob. You like the way I do things. I have my own way of doing it, my own style. It's more of just sports talk. Yeah, for any wise ass who says I mentioned Kurt Signetti and I didn't in the past. Is that what you're doing? Hanging on every word I say, like I didn't kiss his ass enough or I didn't think he was perfect? I don't think Kurt Signetti is going to coach the team. I'm a national radio host. I'm mentioning that he's available potentially to pair with Mendoza.
Side to enjoy while you your nights on the ice.
Let's get going.
Only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar. That's right. No carbonation. So it's easy to sip and
What a
enjoy.
beautiful day in Vegas today. How's the weather where you are, man? The weather is just freaking sick here. Let me get you a weather report.
Must be 20.
We are 66 degrees, but it feels like, what would you say, Clay? It feels like 70? Yeah.
Projects around the house. What? To call the boss. Boss Plumbing and HVAC is family owned and operated, serving Southern Nevada since 2015. There are no surprise costs or hourly rates. Get a totally free estimate with upfront pricing. From AC repairs to leaky pipes, from water heater installations to tuning up your AC and heater. Don't just call anyone. Call the boss. Boss Plumbing and HVAC.com.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. Brought to you by Modelo Espresso.
Steady success, leadership, and just show up every day will get us a long way. So I don't know if you totally know that until you go through this, but
It's John Spivak, JT, back with you as we continue on. We're brought to you by Modelo, the fighting spirit of Modelo. I have a bucket of Modelos every Friday, and it's on my phone. I can't wait for tomorrow when my bucket of Modelos, as we bring in the super podcast extraordinaire, Wasted Talent. He joins us again, and I'll begin with, we got two topics, Fernando and the potential coach. I'm going to ask you, where would you like to go first? What have you been talking about most on your platforms?
Talking about Fernando Mendoza. I mean, he's got Raider Nation so excited. He's got, our fan base ignited right now because, we need our guy, right? Like for years and years since Derek Carr's walked out of the building, kind of been a turnstile at quarterback. And, the fan base is ready for the Raiders to go out there and make that investment in a young quarterback like, other successful organizations do to try to move the culture forward and try to start winning some games.
All right, so has anything changed with you overall in regards to your opinion on the pick, the more value of the pick? I say go hardcore Mendoza. Don't even think about moving the pick. But things change because there are some stupid offers that could be out there. And with Dante Moore moving on, the pick becomes more valuable. What is your audience saying?
My audience is pretty much on the same sheet of music as you, JT, and I'm on that same sheet. I do not think that I would take 4 number 1 picks if I'm sure that Fernando Mendoza is my guy. If I'm sure that Fernando Mendoza is a guy that's going to be my starting quarterback, possibly get me to a Super Bowl over the next 5 to 10 years, you couldn't offer me 5 number 1 picks for him. Think about when Peyton Manning was coming out back in '98. And if you can take a time machine and see what he was to become, right? You couldn't offer 10 first-round picks for a franchise quarterback. The picks mean nothing to me because you got to get those picks right. for me, when I see a kid like Mendoza, he's 6'5", he's smart, he's an excellent human being. You know that he's going to come here, he's going to work hard, he reads defense as well. And one thing that I love about Fernando Mendoza is that he's been through some adversity. It checks a lot of the boxes that I've heard Tom Brady talk about when he describes what he likes in a quarterback. You know what I mean? Fernando Mendoza is one of the only guys that I've seen in the last few years who kind of lines up with Brady's ideology when it comes to what he's looking for.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he lines up perfectly with what Brady wants to do, 1,000%. But we don't know what Brady wants to do now as an owner. We don't. I mean, we think we do, but he's been pretty stealth on his opinion. Last one on Mendoza. So there's nothing you need to see in this national championship game. You've seen everything. You're good with it. If he throws 2 picks or doesn't win the game, he's still number one.
Yeah, for me, one game doesn't define the rest of his career. Like I was high on Fernando Mendoza when he was a Cal. You know, this is a kid who, he took a offensive line very, very successful when he was a Cal. He's from Indiana with Cignetti, and they've strung together a masterful season. And he's had one of the great seasons, of any college quarterback, and not just from a numbers perspective, right? I'm talking about from a winning perspective, accuracy, toughness. I've seen him face adversity a lot this year in the Penn State game, seen him beat big programs, Alabama, Ohio State. Playing against this Miami team, that is a team that looks every bit the part of an old school SEC team. They have a lot of 5- and 4-star guys, and Mendoza's playing with probably, I think, 8 4-star guys, and that's it. Like, Miami's loaded with talent, and they're playing at home, right? So,
Did we lose him? I think we lost him. Yeah, we lost him. And also, Clay, I'm having some technical issues with my headset. I'm getting total reverb and everything. I'm saying it's coming back at me. So we'll fix this up. Let's call back and get Wasted Talent there, because I wanted to start off with exactly what he was talking about, which was Mendoza. On his platform, it's all about Mendoza. So I got you on that. Let's go with the coach here, because I like Kubiak, but I'm not saying he's the guy. I like the young play caller under 40 years old, but I can't pick exactly what I like. And I don't even know if Kubiak can command a room like some are suggesting here. Where is your audience and you going with the lead candidates for head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders?
For me, it's definitely Kubiak, because, this is a guy who has been in a lot of different systems. He's from the Mike Shanahan,
going down.
Kyle Shanahan family. If you look at the National Football League, Kevin O'Connell, Floor, McVay, all of these guys come from that family tree. And it seems to be like that's the one that's the most successful. I don't really like to always get into trying to copy what the rest of the league is doing, but if you look at a lot of the young quarterbacks in the league that are having success, they are having success with play callers that come from that family tree and that particular offense. But look, Kubiak, we don't know if he wants to come here. We don't know if he's the leader of men. Only thing I know is that he's been 3 different places as offensive coordinator. He's been in Minnesota. He's been with the Saints, and now he's doing a wonderful job with Sam Darnold out there in Seattle. And just from the other day, I was watching a press conference with the rookie with the Seattle Seahawks, Grey Zabel, and he was effusive of his praise of Clint Kubiak. So I don't think a guy that's not a good leader can go into a situation where they can go into multiple situations, hold multiple different positions on the offensive side of the football and be successful, have success all around the NFL. For me, it's Kubiak, and second, it's Robert Saleh. Now, I know the Raiders are high on Saleh because when they were hiring Pete Carroll, they wanted to bring Robert Saleh here as the defensive coordinator and to be the heir apparent to Pete when he left. It didn't work out. He went back to go be with Kyle Shanahan. But I think that, in his second act, he'll be a really, really good head coach. I don't think that he was really treated fairly in New York, to be honest with you. And I can see him coming here as a defensive-minded head coach, bringing in somebody from that family tree, possibly, Mike McDaniels. I don't necessarily know whether Mike McDaniels wants to be an offensive coordinator because he just, got fired for the Dolphins. But I can see those guys working together because they've done that before in San Francisco.
Wasted Talent is our guest. So this is interesting. So getting back to what you're saying, he's not a lock, Kubiak, by any means. So if Kubiak and Saleh get hired, before the Raiders make their decision or one of them turn them down, then what? I mean, that's reality we're living in now. If you get turned down from someone and you got to go to your second or third choice and there's 8 jobs open, a lot of these candidates are going to be like, I'm good because there's 8 jobs open or there's 5 left, and I might wait till next year. But I still think most of these coaches want to coach the Raiders, want to be involved with the Silver and Black, want to have Mendoza, Bowers, and Genty, and want to be a part of the sports and entertainment capital of the world. I think it's a good pull for them.
It definitely is. I mean, the Raiders, and this is not me being a homer with. Let's just really look at what you would want if you're a brand new head coach or if you're back being the head coach. You want to have factory. You want to have an organization who wants to win and that are behind you to win, right? You also want to have the number 1 pick and be able to craft the team in your image and do exactly what most people are looking for is finding their guy right off the bat. A lot of head coaches don't get a chance to get their guy. They come in and they're hired and they have to, like, sometimes coach quarterbacks that they really don't necessarily want. You know, the Raiders to me is the job to have, to be quite honest with you, JC.
Yeah, I agree. Wasted talent as we wrap it up. So what are you looking at with the rest of the playoffs here? Let's get off the Raiders. I haven't talked much football with you. Are you the type of guy that, like I am, need the Broncos to be eliminated? You're a fan first. You're like, I need that team out. I want that team out. I don't care who's left. Or are you someone who just wants to see the best football played available? Who do you have in the hunt that you want to see win? I'm all in on Buffalo. And who do you need to lose?
I need the Broncos.
Thank you.
Can't stand them. Can't stand the Broncos. To be real with you, growing up, I stand the Broncos more than the Chiefs. It was, the John Elway. John Elway ruined a lot of Sundays for me growing up. Cannot stand the Denver Broncos. And to be quite honest with you, we can't be Sean Payton much.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to see them get back in. Anybody from the AFC West, to be real with you. So, yeah, I'm definitely, for this week, I'm rooting for the Buffalo Bills. You know, me, it's always about watching the team from the NFC win, so that teams in the NFC don't have bragging rights over us. The only thing from the NFC I don't want to see win is the San Francisco 40ers.
Yeah, I think you sum up what a lot of people are thinking.
Kind of low-key Buffalo.
All right, so in recap here, and we thank you again for everything, and we'll talk to you next week and the week after. You're all in on Mendoza, 1,000%. You're not budging on Mendoza.
No, not at all. I mean, JT, the type like Fernando Mendoza come along a lot. And this is why I say this, because, for quarterbacks, there's always guys that run fast, they throw the ball hard. But are they good people? Do they work hard? Are they smart? Are they in a pro-style offense? He's in a pro-style offense right now. He's running pro concept as we speak. This is a guy, to me, that his floor is so much higher than a lot of people that I'm okay if he's not the best quarterback in the National Football League. But I just think that at the very minimum, he can be a top 15 to 10 guy right out the bat. And if you have that and you can build around that on a rookie deal with some of the Hall of Fame talent that they have as far as, from an offensive perspective, Brock Bowers, I know he's only in his second year, going to his third year. Brock Bowers looks the whole part of a future Hall of Famer. Atkin Genty, if you can get that line together, this is a guy that's going to really tear the league up. And you can build around that. You can have a sustainable winning culture in Las Vegas. I mean, JT, to be real with you, I want to see the Raiders be the only team in the Super Bowl in 3 different cities. I want the Las Vegas Raiders to publish their history. And that's why I want a new quarterback and a new coach. Like, I don't want to go out there and get a retread. I don't want to go out there and get a coach who won a Super Bowl somewhere else, because we need our guy and we need to establish a new winning culture today, this year.
I agree with you. The only thing I want to see is Mark Davis and the Raider Nation win 1 Super Bowl, and it will complete everything, as you said. It will deliver Las Vegas, which never wanted to come here, always wanted to stay in Oakland, always wanted to stay, came here because of the Oakland politics and everything that happened. If the Raiders could win 1 in Vegas, and it should have been about by now, when they brought the team here, Wasted, I thought that the Super Bowl would be right around now. They'd be to the playoffs once or twice. They'd be deep in the playoffs. It feels like we're almost going back to starting over again, but We got to live with that because of Mendoza, Brady's involvement, Genty and Bowers, and at least we can preach that and hope that happens. Tell everybody where they can find you. I know you do some stuff on the weekends, right after games. How can everybody tune in?
Raider Nation Unlimited on YouTube, Feature Wasted Talent, and on Twitter. Keith, thank you for having me on.
You got it. I have him on because he's classy. He knows how to behave. I don't mean behave to me. It has nothing to do with me. I don't know. I haven't met him yet. We haven't broke bread. I'm going to take him out when he comes out here. But he knows how to act in Raider circles. He's not a clown. He's not a clickbait artist clown. He's a guy who wants this thing to be right, and he gives good content. And that's who we continue to put on the show. Chris in West Oakland is jumping in here, man. It's been a few days, man. What's going on? Is the weather perfect in West Oakland today?
JP, well, I am currently heading to lovely Pittsburgh, where I'm about to head to practice. 60 degrees and glorious blue California sunshine after that horrible rain we seem to have for 2 weeks. And I'm not wearing shorts. It's getting close, but the weather's very, very nice right now. And listen, by the way, first time I've ever heard these Wasted Talent. Great interview. I like that guy a lot. I only got a quick call here, JP. Your subject to the coach. Look, I'm going to talk about the guys I don't want first. I'm not going to call them retreads. However, you live in Vegas. You talk about the odds. Everything's based on the odds. Casinos get built by beating the odds because nobody beats these guys on a consistent basis. No coach has ever won a Super Bowl with two different franchises. Now, the odds say it's going to happen eventually, but the longer odds are definitely that doesn't seem to happen. But it's more so that I don't want, and I'm not going to call him a retread like you said, don't want a former coach somewhere. I kind of like some new blood. Go back to John Madden. Go back to John Gruden. The Raiders have done pretty well in the past, hiring really young coaches that nobody didn't see coming at first, especially John Madden. So I kind of like to go that route. Signetti, absolutely no doubt this guy can coach, but there's enough evidence that, coaching, as great as he's done in college, that doesn't always translate to the pros. So let's get to what I would do. Who was the young offensive coordinator? There's multiple ways of doing it. Mike Vrabel, as well as Ken Johnson's turned the franchise around. It can work with both types of coaches. I believe it favors the offensive side of the ball a little more, which is why drafting Fernando Mendoza, I want the young offensive coordinator to be the head coach. Because if you go defensive coach, offensive coordinator, and you turn your franchise around, well, guess what? In 2 or 3 years, your offensive coordinator is the new hot commodity, and he's going to leave for a head coaching job. I'd rather have my quarterback and head coach together for a decade and a half than my defensive coordinator as a head coach. That's just the way. I look at it, JP. And you got to go back to Pete Carroll. Other than Bill Belichick, the last 13 years, Belichick had Brown. Your head coach winning Super Bowls are all offensive coordinators. Just from this decade alone, Andy Reid's won multiple. Nick Sirianni just won a Super Bowl. Bruce Arians, Sean McVay, they're all offense. I'm not saying a defensive coach can't get it done, but the odds seem to favor that. I don't know if it's Kubiak, I don't know if it's David Webb, but I would like a young, bright, offensive mind. Hopefully he and Fernando Mendoza will be together for a decade and a half. And damn it, I could finally come to Vegas for a freaking playoff game instead of watching other AFC teams. Thank you, brother. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, you could come. You could come, Chris, to see concerts. Remember, you could stay with me and come to see a concert. Love to have you for that. Clay says, get out. You're going too late. He's right. He's a radio pro. He knows the clock better than I am. Just a bloviator who blows through the clock. Raising Cane's chicken fingers. Oh, the buttery Texas toast. You can dip it in the cane sauce. The crispy crinkled cut fries and the best chicken fingers in the world. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love. Yeah, wasted is good. Everybody's trying to figure out, who's this and who's that, and is wasted as good as this podcaster, and this podcaster's better. Grow up, you guys, you freaking little girls. Grow up and like who you like or block who you don't like. A bunch of freaking cowards all over the internet. Oh, he's better than him. He's nicer than that. Everybody's just trying to make content. Everybody's trying to make content. Whoever does a good job, listen to him. Whoever you don't like, but don't be a coward. Be able to talk to someone to their face, not not sitting there and going, "Oh, he sucks. He's better. Wasted's not as good as this, or he's better than Wasted." No one gives a crap. We don't care. We're just trying to get good radio and talk Raiders. Okay? God, freaking trolls, man. There are trolls everywhere I look, man. But I've done a good job in the new year. I'm not really reacting. I'm not, for a number of reasons. Why? Maybe a New Year's resolution. Wink, wink. No, Willie Wayne, you won't talk face to face. You won't. A lot of people don't talk face to face because they don't. They're how do I say it? They're social media tough guys. They're social media tough trolls who don't do anything. They just hide, and they're scared, and they like to throw barbs at other people. I'm available all the time. All the time. Everywhere you could be in Vegas, I am there talking sports with people, and 100%, 99%, no, 100% get along with me. And when they hang out with me, have the best time they ever had. So yeah, if you don't want to hang out with me and you want to watch the chat, please do. We have room for everybody. We have room for everybody. The only thing that we're not going to deal with are toxic trolls who are trying to slide in here and be a wise ass, because we can keep them all out. Yes, I am a G. You do this 30 years, you're a G.
Glacier Sports Bets at the Gretzky and Sportsbook.
Yeah.
With the Golden Circle Burger, the Linebacker Bison Burger, Philly Cheesesteak, the Polish Sausage, and so much more is dynamite. The Golden Circle Sports Bar's happy hour is amazing with $5 draft beers every day from 10 to 6 Treasure Island, the Vegas destination for those seeking a contemporary resort experience with an ideal location on the Las Vegas Strip. And remember,
Where am I watching the draft? I would assume I'll be part of the Raider draft coverage, wherever that's going to be, wherever they announce the party.
I gotta get a new job.
Was that Clay?
Wait.
Raider,
You,
Ultimate Raider Dave in the Bay Area.
dude.
Ultimate Raider Day. Oh.
My brother got his CD.
All right, we'll do Cats at 105.
Okay.
Making great money.
Okay.
I'll need to get that number.
Raising Canes. Fabian says really good, but messy if you're driving. Well, Fabian, you log a lot of miles, man. I would assume you'd have a built-in napkin, something with you, paper towel.
You by the Nicasta Verde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
JT, we got Johnny Katz at the top of the hour, the entertainment reporter on Breaking News with Metallica. Wow, you're going to get it here first before anybody on any radio platform. Metallica breaking news coming up in about 10 minutes. Do not miss this. And Clay's getting the Metallica ready as we're ready to go. It's Ultimate Raider Dave. He's in the Bay Area. Hello, Dave.
Glad to be on the show with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the call. It's this whole coaching carousel thing, we got to just find the fresh idea. Right? We need new perspective. This my guy stuff doesn't work. You got to play this totally different. We have to change the game for the Raiders. We have to think our greatness, right? That's what we used to. We show up to practice on time. We show up to meetings on time. And rest of the time, we don't care until Sunday, right?
Mm-hmm.
We scare people. We play hard. That's why I love Max, right? He's got dirt at the Coliseum in those elbows.
Mm-hmm.
It's in his blood, right? This is why we have to choose a coach that is going to change the game for the Raiders. You can't be thinking and dunking all the time. We go big, right?
So what do you want to do? What do you want to do? You want to go young, talented, no-name guy? He's got to prove himself, or kind of a mix? He's been in the league a bit. We kind of know him from TV. Hasn't got the big chance. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking anybody who understands how to say, I don't want to be business as usual, right? This is the problem with Pete this past year. I love the guy, but with two my guys, right? That my guy thing, and Chip Kelly, my guy stuff, trying to change something that, you make adjustments, but you don't try and change the player's, will to win in a sense, right? You're only cutting them off at the knee. You can't do that. You gotta be innovative now. And this game has changed so much. You gotta know when to, go short and when to go long. But you gotta stretch it out. You gotta start playing peanut butter ball is what I call it, because it's got to be You know what I mean? You got to get creative.
All right.
There is no creativity. They're going to the well too much. Cut down things. It's not cutting it. Your quarterback. You gotta make sure that your quarterback knows there's only 3 seconds.
Yeah, I
You throw
agree
it
with
away.
you.
3 seconds in your head. Boom. You make
Get the
that
ball
choice
out.
and tell that player, right?
Okay, well, I got to run, my friend. I appreciate it. I'm up against it, but it sounds like you're saying Kubiak or Joe Brady. It seems like, you're thinking about Joe Brady from Buffalo, or, he's interviewing for the Miami Dolphins head coaching job. Is it Kubiak or Joe Brady or someone else? That's what we're trying to figure out here, and we could use your help. We'd like your help. We don't need it, but we'd appreciate it. That's all I do. I want to hear from everybody else. Young guy, energetic, who can change the Raiders quickly. Does that sound good? Young, energy, and can turn it around quickly. Yeah, that sounds good to me. We're brought to you by the 872 Laborers, led by Tommy White. Everybody knows Tommy White in town because he builds this city on time and on budget because of the great people of the 872 Laborers, proud partner of our show. Great, thanks. I got my headset back, so we're good. We're going to be back in a minute. We're doing entertainment. Metallica to the Sphere is the breaking news. Metallica at Sphere. You'll hear it here first. Coming up momentarily. I can get into that. Man. Yeah, Metallica.
That's right. You're going to charge $600 a ticket. All the Metallica fans can't go. It's a scare thing. Yes.
Stores now open Fridays through Sundays. It's the famous Golden Nugget Resort Casino on Fremont Street. This isn't just a store, it's the official Black Hole fan store. One-of-a-kind apparel and merchandise created by the fans for the fans. And Black Hole members save 20%. Join now at theblackhole.com. Once a member, always a member. JT the Brick from Finley Volvo, Las Vegas, reminding you can lease a new 2025 Volvo EX90 full electric with 3-row seating and get $8,500 in a lease allowance, or get 0 APR financing. Or how about leasing a new 2026 Volvo EX30? Fully electric SUV and get $7,500 in a lease allowance, 1.9 APR financing at Finley Volvo, Las Vegas. This is JT for the local 872, proud partners of Raider Nation Radio, led by Tommy White, building the city on time and on budget. Go to local872.com to find out about apprenticeships, career paths, all the public work zones, and the schedules that are happening here in our valley. I'm proud to be associated with the 872, proud partners of my show and Raider Nation Radio. Hey, it's JT. Grimaldi's is hands down my favorite pizza in Vegas. Only at Grimaldi's can you get their famous New York-style coal-fired brick oven pizza. Grimaldi's has 4 locations in the Vegas Valley, or check them out online at Grimaldi'sPizzeria.com.
Hey, Vegas, it's Clay Baker with Zero Res. In Southern Nevada, we all seem to experience the allergies year-round, but in fact, the EPA says the indoor air quality in our homes can be 200 to 500 times worse than the outside. Why? It's our air ducts. They're like the lungs for our home. And so many other contaminants. Air duct cleaning is an essential part of your home maintenance, which is why Zero Res developed a revolutionary air duct cleaning process, which really has been recognized as breakthrough technology in their industry. I got an email the other day. Dawn in Summerlin. I didn't even know.
You have his?
I don't have his.
Okay, let me give it to him.
He was on, he called
I
in.
didn't realize how much I was suffering. See what I mean?
I'll have him
Why don't you
call us.
call Zero Res today? Just ask for the Clay Baker special. For a limited time, you can save $100 off your air duct cleaning. Success! Call 702-840-3333 or online at ZeroResLasVegas.com. Spelled the same forward or backward. Zero Res is the right way to clean. Minimum supply.
If you've been in an accident due to someone else's fumble, remember, it's not
We're doing here in the chat today. Got 472. Some of that's Twitter, some of that. We got our biggest audience. We had 1,000 people in the other day because I tied in Facebook. I think we're going to do a little bit more here on Facebook because they're real people who are following the show and not bots, man. We got a really good group here because we don't have a bunch of paid fake paid fake followers here. So we're trying to get this thing going. Remember, my goal was 10,000 subs by the new year. We're a little over 8, so we got to get to 10, and then 10 will go to 20. And then once 20 happens, it'll just freaking mushroom. That's what the algorithm says. I'm not very good at math.
Check out the
Okay.
.org.
Yeah, the problem with Metallica is it's expensive at Sphere.
Readers, the JT the Brick Show. Modelo Especial is a rich, flavored Pilsner style lager, delivering a crisp, refreshing taste, brewed with fighting spirit since 1925. Raider Nation has found its daily Raiders content. This
Yeah, I told him to call us.
9:20 p.m. Part of the Las Vegas Sports Network, KRLV Las Vegas. It's the JT the Brick Show.
You know, obviously it means a lot to me being a part of the Silver and Black alone. You know, the history, I've said it a million times. I feel like I was meant to be a Raider. I love being here.
Your Silver and Black home to sound off for over 25 years.
It's amazing, opportunity, great community here, and great fan base. And so I'm expecting a lot of fun, a lot of energy, a lot of great times.
It's going to be all about competition. I mean, there's going to be no easy games there. And now here's JT the Brick.
Oh, good to have you. Hour number 2 of the show. Thrilled that you're with us. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We're brought to you by Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. Thursday night, always a great night to go to One Steak, sit at the bar with Johnny O'Donnell, have some of the greatest drinks you could have here in Las Vegas. He'll entertain you, let alone all the entertainment they have at Virgin. All the big events that are in town. I got a buddy in town for a convention. He's in town this week. I said, let's go to One Steak. See Johnny O'Donnell and the whole crew over at Virgin as we get rolling. Johnny Katz will join us. John Katz will meet us in a matter of minutes here. He's got breaking news, and it's real breaking news on Sphere and Metallica. Man, once people start realizing when they go to shows at Sphere and they're hanging out at Sphere and they're seeing what's going on there, they start to say to themselves, oh, my God, can I go there? Who's playing? Is there anybody playing that I love? Yeah. Everybody's playing Sphere now. Everybody's playing. As a matter of fact, I've always said, and I'm going to talk about this with Katz when he comes on, there's going to get to a point where Sphere's going to have to say, no, you can't play here. You're not good enough. You can't let bands in Sphere who can't sing, because you'll get exposed. First time I went to Sphere, I saw U2 with Bono. It sounded so amazing. I'm like, man, Bono could still do this. Vince Neil can't play at the Sphere. Sorry, he can't. You can't have a voice track Vince Neil at Sphere. I don't care how much you love Motley Crue. They can't let everybody in there. You got to be a great performing artist to play Sphere. You can't be a C-lister or B-lister or one-time famous to play Sphere. You got to deliver. As we bring in Johnny Katz, who's got the neon news for us today, Righteous-wise here. And, man, I go back to Metallica in the parking lot of Oakland. You can YouTube it before the AFC Championship game. What's your breaking news today, Johnny?
Boy, that is going back. Yeah, Metallica, there's been a lot of talk about Metallica for quite some time, since the late summer, early fall. But I'm led very confidently that they're going to be coming in for between 12, 14, or 16 shows from October through December.
Wow.
Sphere this year. And this is obviously, I think, one of the bands we thought of when we were first visiting, in the Hard Hat Tour days of the Sphere, was Metallica, and they're making it happen. So this is the first big, I guess, hard rock, heavy rock band to play the Sphere. And there's no better ambassador for that culture than these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's what we know. I'm just waiting for the formal announcement. I think we all are, and we all have been.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, and you said it. You've got to be an A-lister. You've got to be somebody who can deliver not only just a concert, but a production that is tailor-made for this place. And I'm sure these guys will deliver. I know that Lars Ulrich especially has been talking about Sphere for a while. He was on Howard Stern talking it up, and they want to do it. There's no question about that. So do a lot of other people. But, yeah, there you have it.
Yeah, as we both know, the bands who accept an invite there and have to put money into the show, they go to Minisphere out in Burbank. They develop the show. They put in their art, graphics, and all this. This isn't just one of these, hey, man, we're on tour. We're going to play T-Mobile. We're bringing in a couple of 18-wheelers to unload here. No, this is a commitment to play there because you got one shot to perform at Sphere. If you don't do a great job in regards to ticket sales, and that's usually vetted, and a great show, people won't come back. So it's really important that the bands nail it. And I know how much they care about music. And they got passed up at the Super Bowl in the Bay Area, which was a big miss, in my opinion. So they'll be energized to come to Vegas.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about Metallica not playing the Super Bowl in San Francisco, their home court. Yeah, I will tell you, yeah, and that was always the vision of the whole Sphere team at MSG, Madison Square Garden, and Jim Dolan. This would not be a tour stop. This is not going to be a plug-and-play show where you play Sphere on a Friday and then you go to Phoenix or LA on Saturday. This is there. It has to be specifically for Las Vegas. And that's what makes it so appealing. So you have bands, and if you go online and you check out like No Doubt's feed, their Instagram feed, you can see them working it out. Kenny Chesney did a lot of BTS stuff. Zach Brown went behind the scenes and showed what it was like to work out some of the material in what they call the Big Dome or Mini Sphere out in Burbank. And it's a whole process, And that one thing about the Sphere, they have to pay revenue to keep the little Sphere going too, and that brings in no revenue. So that's part of their expenditure. That's part of their investment, and they don't sell any tickets to that. But that's part of the grand, business model of the Sphere in Las Vegas. So it's expensive. Yeah, it's a very big investment of ingenuity, of resources, imagination, time, commitment, physical exertion. The Sphere's a lot. I would say. A lot.
Yeah, for sure. Johnny Katz joins us. Check out his work at the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Neon, everything he does. So I know you don't have all the information just yet, but you're going to be the go-to guy. What a sad passing of Bob Weir, and I don't want to make it all about money, but holy cow, that's a big money project over at Sphere that delivers. And there's a subculture of dead shows at casinos and dead gatherings when they're here on a residency, and that affects the Las Vegas economy. What are you searching for on this story now, the passing of Bob Weir, and what John Mayer needs to do to keep this brand alive?
Well, that's the next step. And honestly, I think it's very early. John Mayer is a very interesting figure in the whole Dead culture, the Dead and Company and Grateful Dead culture, because without John Mayer, you would have he was the one who led all the video in the Dead and Company show. He envisioned all that. He was a hands-on practitioner of the video display. He was obviously musically incredible. No John Mayer, no Sphere show. That's what I've been saying. You don't have John Mayer, you don't have the show. But Weir was, and Weir was the leader of the band. So, Mayer was just a member of the band. And with Bob gone, I don't know. I don't have a feel for how you would continue Dead and Company in that way. I hope they captured one thing that they should have done. I hope they did this. I don't know that they did was get them as a concert movie, as a concert film, like what they did with U2 and have been doing with the Eagles too. They've filmed. I hope they did that because then you could run Dead and Company as the theatrical experience and make money from that and satisfy the appetite for their fans that way. But more will be revealed. I mean, this is a very, Dead and Company, the Grateful Dead brand has been, I want to say it's almost been indefatigable over the years. You can't kill the Dead. And, they'll find a way to get their art out there in some way. I know Dolan would be, receptive to any idea that they could do that made sense. And Mayer is a monster. He's such a great musician and great artist. I think he'd be involved in whatever they do.
Johnny Katz is our guest. I think I could sit down and break bread and talk over a beverage music with anybody, but there are people that I look up to with their opinions. And I'm talking to some people about how much revenue BTS, the Korean boy band, brings to Allegiant Stadium. And it is mind-blowing. I mean, I think I know who's played Allegiant Stadium. I've been to a lot of those shows with you. AC/DC, Garth Brooks, we were there for. And then this band comes in every couple of years, and the amount of suites, the amount of tickets, the amount of nights that they could play. I mean, they could play 20 nights, I'm guessing. How big is this animal of what this band is at Allegiant Stadium?
As big as anybody. It's as big as it's as much demand as Taylor Swift has at Allegiant Stadium for starters. Multiple dates, a couple dozen probably you could And when they played in April of 2022, they had 4 sellouts over 2 weekends. So in a lot of circles, that's a residency in life. When you talk about there are shows that have claimed to be a residency that have done consecutive weekends, 4 dates. They didn't say that. So they did that. So that's 200,000. Well, a total of 200,000 tickets sold if you count those shows and count the concert live simul feed that they did over at MGM Grand Garden Arena. So all those shows sold out too at the same time. So you've got Allegiant Stadium filled and MGM Grand Garden Arena filled on 4 nights over 2 weekends. That's dominance. And they were great. I've got to tell you, I was like, these guys are really entertaining. You kind of get, they really put on a show, and they're super generous with their attitudes and what they deliver. They really put a lot into it. So there's no underestimating how popular those guys are, and who knows, one day maybe they'll play when they're ready to sit down for one show. They're touring the world this year, everywhere. It's going to be one of the biggest concerts of the year internationally. So they can make a lot of money here, make a lot of money everywhere.
All right, let's wrap this up with some positive Vegas news, because I look at a lot of social media and I get a lot of feeds about Vegas is dying and Vegas is this, and oh my God, look at this, it's 1 a.m. and no one's at the food court. And a lot of it is manipulated by people that are trying to hold Vegas back. Other stuff is accurate. When I see it, I was downtown at a black hole party on Fremont Street last week. I never saw anything like it. It was never more crowded. So when people are contacting you and you write the biggest entertainment column in town and say, what's going on with Vegas in 2026? We're in January of 2026. I don't think last year was a good year. It wasn't for tourism and revenue, and casino business kind of down, but I'm hearing the sports books are up. What's the real story on the positivity of Las Vegas coming into this year?
Well, I think generally speaking, Las Vegas always finds a way to dig itself out of whatever hole it's in. We've had these conversations over the great landscape over, I've talked to producers about this, if it was 9/11, it was the recession, it was the pandemic, it's what we're going through now with the tourism numbers, year over going down. Las Vegas adjusts. However, Las Vegas adjusts, it figures out a way, because we have so much live entertainment aptitude and talent and experience in this city. So what I've heard is what has to happen in Las Vegas, the pendulum has to swing back for the mid-sized shows, I'll say, the kind of like, the Spiegelworld shows, the shows at the Theater, at Miracle Mile Stops, those types of shows. Even Cirque du Soleil, I would say, they have suffered. They have, up to, 50% a drop in ticket sales over last year. Those are the numbers I'm getting. That has to change. And for that to change, we have to get our international tourism to come back to some degree. And that is, the international audiences like, they love magic. They love Cirque. They love, that's their second choice, of the show that they like to see. So that has to happen. But I think that on the upswing, we have so much, like the Sphere will bring in a lot of tourists who come for the Sphere, but have to do something else on their 3-night stay. And that's where these other shows come in. That's where restaurants come in. That's where they can gobble up that audience. I had, resort executives tell me that the Backstreet Boys saved the summer from being a real problem just themselves because they brought in so many fans. So don't underestimate the Sphere, the top headliners at all the theaters, the Allegiant Stadium act. We just had, Bruno Mars, who's a resident headliner here, just added a date at Allegiant Stadium. He sold like crazy for that. And I mean, he sells out Dolby Live all the time. Those types of superstars will help lift the boat,
Yeah, it's
good to know that.
I had one of my best friends in town. He was here on a random Tuesday night, and he was walking the strip yesterday, and he took a video he sent to me on the growing hard rock guitar that's being built there at the Mirage. And I knew from day one, because I knew some guys who were in Florida were telling me it was going to be as big as the Sphere. And I go, no, it can't. They're like, no, it is. And I'm saying to myself, wait a second. They're going to build a guitar on the Strip the size of Stratosphere or close to it? Yes. And then when I saw the video yesterday and the base of it and what it's going to look like, I mean, this is a monstrosity that they're building there. Any idea with the construction and the issues with the Strip? Because everyone freaks out about F1. It disrupts everything. That's a massive construction site right in the middle of the Las Vegas Strip.
I think most of the work that I've seen is being done off the road, you know, and they're doing it on the property. But if you want an example of what that guitar is going to look like, look at Hard Rock Hollywood in Seminole, Florida. It's going to be like the same scale. 700 rooms, I think, 750, something like that. And I don't think construction is going to be an issue. I don't think, as long as the FAA is okay with it, it's what we do. It's going to change forever, the Strip.
Yes.
Site. You know, when you see these helicopter views of like boxing or pay-per-view or something, you see this view of Las Vegas and the Tropicana is still in there, and you know the Bronx is still in there. You got to update that. They just put a backdrop in up at Myron that has a montage of all the famous Strip hotels, and they're going to have to update that because here comes this guitar. And it's going to be a signature piece, and I love it. Good for them. You know, Joe Lupo there, who's the president of Hard Rock Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I met him when he was a Stardust sportsbook director years ago, a long time ago. And, you know, so he has a feel for this city's history and, you know, how to ingratiate yourself to your neighbors, for example. So he's a Vegas guy, you know, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for it.
Last one, conventions are really big. You know, I was talking to the famed restaurateur JOD, Johnny O'Donnell, and I'm talking to other buddies on the Strip with CES and then the conventions that are coming in behind this. It's just incredible that Vegas with the rodeo in December and the revenue it brings in. Then we have the Vegas Golden Knights and, you know, the smaller things that are happening as we talked about and big things at Sphere. But how important is this convention business? Because I just saw a video of Resorts World and going under with that beautiful, boring company and a ride to the airport, and how quick now people are going to get around town. And these are all conventioneers coming in who are the backbone. We have to treat our conventioneers like family. They are the lifeblood of this city. We got to treat them great. We got to give them deals. We can't gouge them, and we got to thank them for their business.
Yeah, I think the people in Las Vegas have been aware of this for a long time. Look at just at CES, I think it was 145,000 attendees just for CES. Huge business. We need that. And it's hyper competitive too, not just in the United States, but internationally. You know, we have Chicago and Orlando, Florida, you know, San Francisco, Seattle, all going after these conventions. Dallas, the Dallas-Fort Worth area is, you know, getting a lot of big events. You know, I just say that, you know, we have to make sure that is a big one because of our international tourism numbers. Those factor into that, the convention figures. So we, you know, I don't know what else to say other than don't underestimate the importance of these huge events. If you hear that one of these major events are moving from Las Vegas to somewhere else, that's just not a passive thing. That's a lot of business. And when we get one, it's also a lot of business.
Thanks for the Metallica news. I will leave you on this. I will be on the floor. I'm one of the rare guys who love the floor. I want to see my band. I don't want to be in the 300s with popcorn and someone next to me eating. I don't want to do that. I go to concerts. I go right to the front. So I'll be on the floor for Metallica so I can look at Field in the Eye with some Raider gear on. So you don't have to worry about me buying 300s and 400s. I'll be down there with you.
Okay. If I see you down there crowd surfing, sir, we're going to have a talk.
Yes, my 60th will lead. My 60th birthday year will lead with that. Thanks, my friend. I'll talk to you soon. I'll see you out this weekend.
All right, JP, you got it.
Johnny Katz. How about him? The entertainer reporter, not the entertainment reporter. So Metallica, Clay.
Yeah.
You know, the big picture is it's going to outprice a lot of people. A lot of people. There's no deals at Sphere. The biggest phone call I get, JT, what can you do for Raider tickets? You can look online. They're all sold. There are no tickets. There's not a bucket. Like in Oakland, there used to be a bucket. I could put my hand in and grab some tickets for buddies. There's no tickets for Raider. I have no hookup. You got to buy them. And the same thing with Sphere, Clay. Like you want to go spend $475, $500 for a show, you're going to have to pay it. You got to budget it in because Sphere is like nothing you've ever been to. So budget it in. It'd be nice if everybody could go to Sphere for $50. You can't.
No, it's impossible. Even the regular show that they do, that's not something that's going to be conducive for local discounts or
Yeah.
anything like that. And just to be honest with you, like, it's not the bands or the artists that set these prices. It's the venue.
Yeah.
Anywhere you go around the country, not just the Sphere, but everywhere. So MSG and James Dolan, when they created this, they wanted to make sure like there isn't another place on earth
Mm.
that does it like we do. And this is what you're going to have. It's going to be beyond an experience. It'll be something you'll remember forever.
Yeah, I told this about my buddies who know someone with the Eagles, and it's going to be $1,000. It's $500 a ticket. You're probably going to drop $100 to $200 on drinks if you like a cocktail. If you don't want to go to a show and have a drink, not judging you, but I want my Tito's. I want my Tito's when I'm going to see my band, and you're going to have to spend. So if you want to go out with a couple or 4 people to go, it's going to be $500 a ticket. And just know it and don't complain. And if you can't afford it, we understand. And I can't afford it. No, not a lot of people can afford a lot of this. And they'll have other opportunities for you to see other shows. But don't start bashing. I'm not going to the Sphere because it's $475. No, you can go see Wizard of Oz for $100. And I saw Wizard of Oz and it was breathtaking. And you get a chance to walk all around the Sphere and see it.
And there's also something that Johnny Katz had brought up, that some of these residencies have saved a few months here and there, especially during the summer. And we see how some residencies like Mark Anthony over at the Fontainebleau, that's a week. I know people from the Bay Area that are coming in specifically just for that show. Who is it? J-Lo's doing a month at Caesars. Little things like that go a long way. But it makes you always wonder, though, like, all right, who is in the food chain that deserves to play at the Sphere for the big ticket? You got no doubt U2, Eagles,
Dead and Company,
and
Fish,
and there it is.
Fish is big,
and now Metallica. Who else is in that list? That just those numbers are few.
There's only a few people who can do it because I'm a big Stones guy, and Mick can do the Sphere, obviously, but Mick doesn't have the voice anymore to do Sphere. I'd go see Mick in a parking lot or a Sphere. But the last thing on this issue that we will say is my budget goes to concerts, not football tickets and all that. When I don't have my, if I'm going to budget or talk to my wife about an expense, it's usually traveling to see a concert. That's it. That's what we talk about every year. Hey, what shows do we want to go to? It's in Vancouver. We're going to go here, there, New York. Okay, we're going to build it around this and make a trip out of it. But a lot of people are doing that around America and around the world to come to Sphere. A really good segment with Johnny Katz, and you can check out everything he's doing at Neon at Las Vegas Review-Journal. Fantastic. Levi Edwards just texted me. Let's hear what Levi has to say. Levi, what do you want to talk about? The coaching tracker he has at Raiders.com. The great Levi Edwards will join us. Radio only. My son will throw up a photo of him. You can watch everything we're doing live right now on YouTube, and we're building that for Super Bowl. So last year I didn't have YouTube at Super Bowl. I think I might have had like just some weird microphone. This year we're taking the machine to Radio Row at Moscone Center to do the show. We'll be doing Radio Row Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I think Q will be there all week with 2 shows. I'll be doing one Mad Dog show. Got a lot of events. I'm emceeing a big event up in the Bay Area, which I'm excited about. I'll tell you as that event gets closer. We're excited. It's playoff season, and we're talking playoffs in the college football championship.
It's the morning tailgate.
Talking to Jason Horowitz.
All right, we'll keep it here for Levi. Allegiant sold out. Yeah, for BTS, a Korean boy band that you won't believe what I've heard about the money that's being spent by people for the, thank you, Raider Deb, the money being spent on suites and tickets for BTS. I'm not in that world, but it's crazy. Everybody's been asking about Spotify. No, we're on Spotify. Spotify's having a problem with the podcast. So that's why I built this YouTube, because if you missed the show, you can just go to YouTube and watch it and hear it. So again, and then we podcast, the shows are podcast at LV Sports Network. So LV, your next tailgate entrance to the Silver and Black. The limited edition Black Hole bottles now available at woodsonwhiskey.com. And also the Rod Woodson pod that I'm sending to my son. right now. Hold on. So he can post this. Just a photo of it. 1 second.
Play. Hi, sports fans. It's the Herd. We're here to talk about Game Changer.
I got the new iPhone and I'm not really good with it, man. It's on me, man. I'm not good with it. So the new iPhone is complicated. And I didn't want it. I got surprised on Christmas with the new iPhone, and I'm not a phone snob. I just need my phone to work.
Go. Visit Ford Country at the Valley Auto Mall or online at FordCountryHenderson.com. Ford Country, where the difference is real. This JT from Las Vegas's premier cigar.
Yeah, son, do you have a Rod Pod photo that you could put up here? I think I do.
To their walk-in humidor, over 500 cigar labels to choose from. Plus, they feature one of the largest whiskey, scotch, and bourbon selections anywhere else, with live local entertainment 7 nights a week. Great place to watch football games. Check it out at LaCasaCigars.com. Hey, it's JT. Grimaldi's is hands down my favorite pizza in Vegas. Only at Grimaldi's did you get their famous New York-style coal-fired brick oven pizza. Grimaldi's has 4 locations in the Vegas Valley, or check them out online at Grimaldi'sPizzeria.com.
When it's time for a new AC and heating unit, don't just call anyone. Call the boss. Maybe you have some plumbing projects around the house. Well, you need to call the boss. Boss Plumbing and HVAC is family-owned and operated, serving Southern Nevada since 2015. There are no surprise costs or hourly rates.
The great Clay Baker. You know, I go back with Clay Baker to 1999. 1999 with Clay Baker.
Don't just call anyone. Call the boss. Boss Plumbing and HVAC.com.
I think they're going to have a public view of Radio Row, Fabian, which kind of sucks. I think you could get a day pass. I think there might be a way to get a public viewing of that. But it's really weird how they treat Radio Row, man. It's weird. And I will say this because I love Radio Row. This will be my 30th. I think 30th minus COVID, 29. It's either that, and this is not get off my lawn shit, but if it's going to sound like it, so get ready. There will never be a Radio Row ever like there were in the early 2000s. From 2000 to 2010, Radio Row was epic. The biggest stages, the biggest shows. Now they call it Podcast Row. It's not what it used to be. You even got some radio hosts that don't even want to go to Radio Row. They're too bothered by it. They're too cool. I don't want to go to Radio Row. I don't want to be seen. You don't want to go to, you don't want to promote your show. You don't want to sit on Radio Row and make some relationships with athletes. A lot of people are getting very bougie on Radio Row. They think they're too cool for Radio Row. Like they'll do their show at a pub in San Francisco, but not Radio Row. They're too cool. There's something about Radio Row that's historic. You know, I didn't invent Radio Row, but when I got there, it was pretty cool. And then when I was there at Fox for 17 years, it was massive, massive. And now it's not because people don't give a shit. People are giving less and less attention to radio, sports radio, than they ever have. That's why I'm working so hard and trying to build this platform and do 2 shows a day, because 10 years from now, it's just not going to be the essence of sports radio like you used to listen to. It's just not. And you're going to have to find it on demand and on your phone. And that's not, to me, great. It'll be okay. But it was always great to know when your favorite radio show was coming on the air and you could listen in your car or turn it up on the stereo. No one does that anymore. So we want sports radio to be great. Levi? Thank you.
Good K or C. It's just like 1,000.
How would we get Trey Hendrickson in free agency, Mike? If we got to spend like 60 million of our 100 on the offensive line. I mean, we got to build the offensive line, man.
To you by PTs, the best happy hour in town, 5 to 7 p.m. and midnight to 2 a.m.
He's not going to go through 4 head coaches. Yeah. And 4 different offensive systems. This should be it for him. Like these guys should be married together for the next 10 years. There should be Sean McDermott and Josh Allen. There should be Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor. That's what this should be.
I mean, you think about Jackson Dart right now, it's got to be absolutely thrilled.
That's Boomer and Gio on their show in New York. That's really good to talk about because Jackson Dart just got John Harbaugh as his head coach. I think they needed an adult in the room. We bring in Levi Edwards from the Raiders digital team and all the great work he does. Before we get to Raiders, we got plenty of time for that. John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin, Levi, are two of the only coaches out there that can bring stability instantly to an organization. And it doesn't look like Tomlin's going to coach. It looks like he's going to go to TV. And Harbaugh lands with the Giants. So one great hire or two are gone out of this carousel where there are 8 coaching jobs still available.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where both of those people have been in certain situations for a long time. And I think in terms of what the Raiders are trying to do, I honestly don't believe that John Harbaugh or Mike Tomlin would have been able to come in and do what was necessary in order to actually, forego a complete rebuild. And I think when you look at what those two guys have done, they are both some of the best coaches in the NFL today, past or present. And it's one of those things where I look at them and I'm like, okay, well, you've been with these teams for such a long period of time where you built one culture in one place and that translates, somewhere else. And I go back to kind of what we went through this previous season with Pete Carroll, him kind of being in the same boat and kind of him having the same track record before he came to the Raiders. So it's one of those things where you think just because you have success in one place doing it this way, it doesn't always translate over when you try to do it somewhere else. And as for the New York Giants, they're still getting a good coach. They have a little bit more stability in place with their roster of kind of knowing where they want to go for the future. And the Raiders just don't necessarily have that. And considering that they don't have that at this point, I think it is probably a better option to look elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what you think, big picture, about the fact that the Raiders went down the Pete Carroll road. So they went down that road of a aging head coach with tremendous success. If that's completely off the table, because if that's completely off the table, then Mike McCarthy's off the table. And other coaches that have Super Bowl victories who could be available are off the table. And you and I don't age discriminate. We don't care for guys in his 60s or 70s if they're the right guy, But, man, the Raiders didn't get anything record-wise out of that other than the greatness of Pete Carroll, the culture, and how good of a guy he was in the building here. How do you think that affects this next search?
Yeah, and like you said, it has nothing to do with the age. It has everything to do with what you built before you came to the Raiders. In the sense of, and I would also even throw in Josh McDaniels in there as a guy that came in and had all this experience with one team, with the New England Patriots, and tried to come and do things the way that he did it with the Patriots because he was there for so long and had only knew one type of way of doing things. And sometimes it falls in your face because every situation is not the same situation. You have to handle it differently. So it has nothing to do with Harbaugh and Tomlin and McCarthy of what they've accomplished and how old they are. It's just sometimes you got to realize I'm coming to a different situation and I need to do things new and I need to adapt to this modern day league. And I believe the candidates that you're looking at in the coach, not
and you don't come out of the lab, you're really invested in all this stuff here. So has this been fun for you, complicated, more difficult than you thought, kind of keep track of all the sourcing and who's coming in the building? I don't even know who's coming in the building. Has it been 10 or 12? And there's not like a siren that goes off in front of your office when someone comes in through the front. But a lot of people around the league are trying to figure out what's going on here.
It's a hell of a task to keep control of. And it's one of those things where you're going to hear a lot of sources and a lot of different reports. As of right now on Raiders.com, we have a tracker of kind of who's been interviewed. And right now we've officially interviewed 7 different candidates, and that's on Raiders.com. So I'm privy to talk about those 7 guys. And there's a lot of good names on there. You have Jesse Mentor, you have Clint Kubiak, you have Kevin Stefanski, who's a 2-time Coach of the Year winner. You have Matt Nagy, who's also a Coach of the Year winner. So you have a few guys in there who you have some fresh blood in there, like a Davis Webb, and then you have more established guys as well that's been able to do it at a high level now. So what I really like about this search, JT, because once again, we've gone through this a lot, JT. I've been with the team since 2020. This is about to be my 6th head coach, which is crazy to think about, but that's just the reality of it. But what I like about this is this definitely feels like a search that doesn't have one clear-cut guy that you know that they're going to go to. Like, it really does feel like they're casting a very big net. And that's something that Sarchek said a couple of weeks ago. He said he's going to be open-minded. He's not going to take anything off the table. He's going to go out and be extensive and find the right guy that can kind of oversee a rebuild for this team. And you can see just with the people that they're interviewing and the amount of people that they're going after, it seems like he's being true to his word. It seems like he's actually going to, go through the proper search, get as many interviews with guys as possible, and then make a decision on who he believes is going to be the best one equipped to accomplish what he wants to do in terms of building the team the right way.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. I really do. I think it's so important. And every year I sit here at training camp with you and we talk about how important it is to get it right. And our intentions are honest. We want them to get it right. We liked Antonio Pierce. We liked Pete Carroll. We liked the coaches that were here. We wanted them to do well, and it hasn't worked. So this time it's tagged with the number 1 pick overall. And you cover a lot of college football before you even got to the Raiders. So with Dante Moore going back to Oregon, it makes this pick that much more valuable. There's one less really good quarterback to draft, and that puts even a brighter spotlight on Mendoza. So what have you learned about Mendoza coming into this national championship game on Monday night?
Well, I think what's so funny about Fernando Mendoza is it feels like to a national audience that he just kind of like blew up out of nowhere. He just got to Indiana and he's had this crazy season and now he's on top of the world. But like we said, JT, I've been watching college football and I've been keeping up with it for a while. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm even more impressed with what I saw from Fernando Mendoza when he was at Cal than what I saw from him at Indiana. Because let's be honest, right now he's on a stacked team. It's really, really great coach, really good fundamentals, a lot of older players. They're a really good team. What he was able to do with lesser talent at Cal, if you go back and you watch those games and you watch those highlights, he was a really good quarterback, and he did a lot of really good things there. Hell, he almost beat Miami last year with Cal. And, it's funny to even think about that game because, Miami kind of got, Miami kind of, some trickery happened for them to win at the end with some balls and things of that nature. But I thought he's been a pretty good quarterback for a while. And I think for him, it's one of those things where he's not necessarily elite at really anything in his game. But what I would say is he doesn't have any clear weaknesses. I would say that he's pretty good at everything in terms of like pretty good arm strength, pretty good mobility, pretty good athleticism, pretty good at, processing his progressions and seeing the field. So I wouldn't really necessarily say Fernando is good for anything, but he's just a guy who's really good at everything. He's a guy that is not going to really necessarily be a liability in one part of his game or more. So, taking somebody like that who's established, he's played a lot of football, it definitely has to be taken into consideration.
All right, Levi Edwards. Come on, Levi. I want to go on vacation. I'd go to Maui this time of year. I want to go places. I'm waiting for a coach. Give a brother a hookup here. When we making this announcement, so I can go to the building, do some work with you, and then get on a plane and get out of here before Super Bowl, or am I going to wait and cancel everything I had planned before Super Bowl and be on lockdown because it could take a while. It could take a while to get a coach.
It's just so tricky with that, too, because if you look at the candidates that are currently being interviewed, a few of these guys are still playing some playoff football. And depending on how long these guys stay in the playoffs, who knows when this could happen. So it's one of those things where there could be a decision that's made as early as next week, or it could be a decision that's made as late as the day after Super Bowl. For all we know, our head coach is going to be coming in day after Super Bowl, like Kellen Moore missing the parade last year with the Eagles. It really could be like that for the Raiders too. So you don't know. Honestly, I'm in the same boat as you, JT. It's been a long season. I need some vacation. I'm ready to I'm ready to get down to Miami. I'm ready to get over to LA for a weekend. I'm ready to get back to the 704, see Charlotte, see some friends and family, have some good times. It is what it is, and that's what comes with the job. And I'm just as eager to learn more about who this head coach will be and kind of being able to, put out as much information about the decision as possible.
Hey, last one. The Donkeys aren't going to win, right? I got Josh Allen all day. Bo Nix has never played in a game like this. And every other game I watch, he doesn't do anything until the fourth quarter where he decides to hit people that are open. The Bills have lost 3 starting wide receivers, but they got Cook and Allen who can run. This team, I talked to Rod Woodson yesterday on a podcast. He's like, no, you don't get it. Denver's got 20 more sacks than Houston. Everyone's like, oh, Houston's the best. No. Denver and their pass rush. Can Josh Allen run away and run the Buffalo Bills at Mile High to the AFC Championship game? How do the Bills beat Denver?
Well, Josh Allen. Yeah, I'm not saying he's X factor in this situation, but quarterback play is going to mean a lot. And I will be like Rod Woodson. Will agree. Denver's defense is elite. The defenses that I've seen this year, especially the ones that have gone up against the Raiders this year, Denver and Houston neck and neck, 1 and 2. So I would say Denver by far has the best defense in the league by far, just in terms of what they have up front, linebacking core, secondary. They just have it together. But the one thing I will say about this, JT, is you look at these two quarterbacks and say, let's for an example, it's the last drive of the game and it is 27-24. If the Bills are down by 3 points and Josh Allen has the ball down 27-24, Josh Allen is going to go down the field and he's going to score a touchdown to win, because that's what Josh Allen has proved since he's been in the league. But if the roles are reversed and Bo Nix is in that situation, and he's going up against the Bills defense that's not necessarily been great this year, but he's going up against the Bills defense with the game on the line, 2-minute drive to win the game. I'm just not necessarily sure if Bo Nix has the ability in such a big moment like this with all the lights on him to be able to get it done.
Yeah.
I guess we're going to find out, aren't we?
Yeah, well, the problem with this, because we don't like Denver here in Raider Nation, he does have the ability to do it. It pains me to say that. And as you know, I've been a Herbert guy. Not a Herbert guy, I'm a Raider guy, but I think Herbert is elite. Yeah. And Herbert's off to a really bad start in his career with clutch moments. He is. There's no other way to spin it. But I would take Herbert any day. But now we get Mendoza and we don't have to worry about that. But Herbert has been shrinking when the lights are brightest. Bo Nix, we're going to be able to put him hopefully in that shrinking category, because if he has a great game and beats Josh Allen, we're in trouble here in Vegas. Bo Nix is real. I didn't think he was real. He's really real if he beats the Bills at home, Levi.
He is. He is real. And that's the thing. I'm going to throw another guy in that category as well, Sam Darnold. These are guys that I've seen be clutch in the regular season. These are guys that have made plays in the regular season in these games. So they do have the ability to do it, like you said, JT. But this is different. This isn't the regular season. This isn't week 6 trying to come back on the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Colts or whoever, or the Raiders. This isn't, one of those type of situations. This is like, life or death situation in the playoff, your legacy on the line, your team's fate on the line. And those two quarterbacks, we know they can get it done in the regular season. Yeah. They proved it. But in this type of situation, in the playoffs, they haven't proved it yet. Yeah. So they're going to have to show it to me. Mm-hmm. Josh Allen has showed it to me. Yes. Brock Purdy has showed it to me. Those are quarterbacks that let me know, okay, you can get it done when the going gets tough. And I just don't know if Bo Nix in the playoff can do that yet. But he has the ability to, and I'm excited to see if he's put in a situation where he has to.
Thank you, Levi. I'll talk to you next week. Always appreciate everything you do. Thank you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, JT.
You got it. I appreciate Levi. So do you. All the guy does is put out content. What do you want? Don't criticize the content providers. You might not agree with them. They're just working like you are, trying to get you information. There's no agenda. Well, there's a little bit of agenda for me. I don't want people crushing the Raiders. See, I fight off the Bronco fans and the Charger fans. I don't want to have to fight off Raider fans. I want Raider fans to get good content. And that's why we put these guests on. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show. Want to thank our great friends at La Casa Cigars. Just talking with Thor from the Raider Nation Drinking Club in Cisco. We like to go to La Casa and have a cigar and a couple of cervezas. And Mike makes these unbelievable cool drinks that are in. They carry everything we carry here, from Woodson Bourbon Whiskey to Remy Martin to Tito's. Go check out La Casa over at Tivoli Village. Thank you, bricklayers. Thank you. Thank you. Friday show tomorrow. We'll do a 1 hour stream, probably tomorrow from home. I'll let you know. Thank you. Please like the Rod Woodson podcast. The Rod Woodson podcast. Laying the Wood. Please subscribe right now. Laying the Wood. Rod Woodson, please.
To a guy like Tom Brady,